one way of defining when humans started is when we started fire, controlling things.
That's when we became human?
That's one way. It's one way of thinking. So fire.
I'll take it.
But what it gives us is a little bit of a marker of when did we start becoming us? And it might be about 1 million years ago, possibly up to 2 million. Now, over that time, there's been a lot of human development. A few things are a bit different from 1 million years ago.
Cigarette lighters.
But during that time, during that 1 million years, 3 times, some people reckon, we've come close to the brink. Not just stuff getting a bit hairy, but things getting really, we're a bit fucked here.
Dunzo?
We're almost dunzo.
Remember humans? No, there's no one left to remember them.
So there's debate on all of these, but some of them are a bit stronger, some of them maybe not. But the first one seems to have been somewhere about like 900,000 years ago, give or take a few 10,000 years.
Yeah, it's nothing. Rounding error.
Before that time, there weren't heaps of us, but there was a few. There was like 98,000 of us breeding individuals. I don't think that's counting children yet or old people.
It really shouldn't.
98,000 is not. And you go, okay, that's the top.
Have you met my breeding individuals? They're your children and they're 4.
And so sometime around then, it seems there might have been some sort of climactic interruption. Don't know quite what.
Again, I've had those too.
But we lost almost 99% of the population.
Almost 99.
Almost 99% of the population. We came down. This is through genetic analysis. We can see this. Came down to just 1,200 breeding humans. 1,200. So
humanity is inbred.
Yes, we are. But we went from, what
98,000.
100,000 people down to just over 1,000 people. So that was almost 1 million years ago.
Easier to get a park. Less people to, stock the shelves. Yeah, okay.
That was the first one. There's another one that they reckon happened maybe 70,000 years ago, so much closer. This one might be associated with a volcano that erupted in Indonesia.
That recently, though?
Yeah, that recently. Now, there's some people are a little bit more skeptical of this. It can be seen in the genetic record, and at that point, we might have dropped down to possibly 3,000 surviving people. So, again, population gradually builds back up and drops down to 3,000.
Let's inbreed again.
The most recent one.
Fuck.
Not as big, but maybe about 5,000 years ago. So this is
that's yesterday.
Not in living memory, but
that's yesterday.
It's yesterday in geological time.
Yeah, that's species yesterday.
Oh, and it's getting close to we've got
5,000?
We've got writing. I think I don't know when writing starts, but it's not far off that.
But it's the first time someone wrote down the word fuck.
This one we don't have full evidence of what quite happened, and it doesn't seem to be a huge drop in population, but it is something interesting, a huge drop in male genetic diversity, where suddenly...
So we are one.
It seems like where there was, a lot of breeding between the men's and the women's of the time, suddenly we get this huge drop in male genetic diversity.
So for what, just the women bred?
I think so.
Okay.
And not with the men. Well,
we've all heard of that.
It may well have been. It was just...
Was this Keith?
Keith was more successful.
You know what? I'm one of you. And there's like, I got 2 mates and
the rest
and I'm
weren't.
better.
But when I was looking at this, what they call the human bottleneck. So these are times
Got one of those too.
These are times when we as a population have lived through an apocalypse, basically. We've gone through a time when something has gone really bad. The world's gotten shit. And for a very long time, we were post-apocalyptic. And it's happened one time, maybe twice, maybe close to 3 times in human, not quite history, but human time. And that got us thinking, could it happen again? And if it could happen again, what would be your favorite version? Welcome to The Wholesome Show.
The podcast in which a couple of academics, obviously we've worked out exactly related.
Yeah.
Knock off early.
Oh, I've got it.
Echo. Grab a couple of beers.
And
dive down the rabbit hole.
We got it. Almost. Dive down that rabbit hole. I'm Will Grant.
I am Roderick G. Lamberts. And we are not the same human. We are both related to Keith.
Sometimes.
We're both related to
We
Keith.
are all children of Keith. We are all children of
Finally, my name for my cult. Oh. Children of Keith. It's on. It's on. I knew it'd come one day. I didn't think it'd be today. This is so good.
All right, so...
Oh, the T-shirts. I can already see 7 designs.
Listener, you might not like the idea of everybody dying, but we love it as a species. Like, there's a movie or 2 or 3 where a lot of people die. Like, there's movies where we're looking at the moment of the dying and also the moment after the dying and where it all gets bad and fucked up.
And then how we continue to live, if you could call it living. I got a question about apocalypses. Is it apocalypses or apocalypses?
Well, I went with apocalypse.
Apocalypse, I like that.
Like if there's lots of apocalypse, it'd be an apocalypse. So we're going to, in a second, dive into, what are some options out there? What might shit be like? But before,
choose your own adventure.
But before, because we're from the sciences, we're going to do some factual stuff first.
It's first physics.
First, I will come to physics.
I've often come to physics. Carry on.
Well, first of all, there's been, as well as, those ones I mentioned in the human time where we humans have suffered a lot. I went and had a quick look at mass extinctions in the past.
Oh, you're Northumbrians.
Your
Devonshire tea.
Your Ordovicians,
Yeah.
your late Devonians and your Permians. Yeah. No, these are the times where not just humans, but the whole planet has gone through apocalypse.
It's true. We're either all Keiths or trilobites.
Yeah, we're children of Keith, children of the trilobite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a band, the Children of the Trilobite.
Who work in the Children of Keith.
No, but
it's fabulous.
No, so there's been 5 mega mass extinction events over the last 500 million years. There might have been more before that, but A, there wasn't as many species, and B,
no video.
They didn't leave video, so we don't know. But
slack worms.
What do you reckon might have caused those 5?
Or what do you call them? Asteroids.
No, one out of 4.
Or one of them was an asteroid.
1 out of 5.
Oh, the other one. Then there was the virus, the lizard virus.
There's a little, So the most recent one was the 65 million year ago one killed the dinosaurs. 76% of species died. So it's the smallest. Oh no, the second smallest of the mass extinction events.
76% is second smallest.
Yeah, that's the second smallest. And that was the asteroid impact in Mexico. So that can clearly fuck shit up. Like that is.
They don't know it was there. There's no evidence.
That is a species fuck upable level of event. The other thing on that, remembering, is that it might have taken a fair while for a lot to die, but a lot died very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
In that one, like within hours. Like whoo.
That's weird, isn't it? Planet wide within hours, and they didn't even need nukes. Oof.
You got any guesses for what the others might have been?
So there's only one asteroid.
One of the 5 were asteroids.
Shift in the Earth's axis.
I don't think so. Although
magnetic field reversal.
Oh my God, that would be no. Okay, so the first one, 44 million years ago, at the end of the Ordovician, 86% died.
From
it's the second biggest.
Stuff.
Intense glacial and interglacial periods created large sea level swings and moved shorelines dramatically. And then tectonic uplift of the Appalachian Mountains created lots of weathering, sequestration.
Water and
of
earthquakes.
I don't know.
Water and earthquakes.
It seemed to be, like climate change, but driven by the plates were moving a lot more. I don't know. I don't quite understand what
hadn't
caused.
bedded down yet. Okay.
2 were mega volcanoes.
Yeah, those are the ones that's probably the one that makes me the most kind of edgy.
Well, yes.
It's not easy to duck out of the way of one of those.
No. So the Big Daddy. This is the Endiopermians. 250 million years ago, 96% of species died.
Oh yeah,
like that is
that is a cleansing.
That is a cleansing. That is some global cleansing. Like I know that this is before God was really doing shit. Like this is before Noah. Like
still warming up,
but it's 96% is a Noah's Ark sort of thing. We are brushing the species off into the ocean.
Yeah, that's a dose of salts and a large amount of fibre, and all gone.
Yeah, intense volcanic activity in Siberia. cause global warming, elevated CO2, all of that. You know, basically, it's like you get a mega volcano, and so much shit gets spewed into the atmosphere. Like it's is it really climate change, or is it everything is so bad?
That's a warm, cuddly blanket.
And the other one was the beginning of the dinosaurs, 200 million years ago. 80% died, so not the worst. But this is a weird one. Underwater volcanic activity in the middle of the Atlantic.
So they were killed by bubbles.
Yes. No, this actually is, some people have called this the giant burp.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, like something.
This isn't good. If I'm going to make a joke and it's real, where's the fun in that?
From the middle of the Atlantic, like a huge release of gases that changed the chemistry of the oceans and atmospheres, and a lot died. So
80%, did you say?
Yeah, that was 80%.
Seriously? So something in the morning, and then chemicals.
Yeah. I got one last of the big mega extinction events. And I like this one because it's like, but they're meant to be the good guys.
Oh.
Land plants. So 36 million years ago, the late Devonian, 75% of all species died because of the rapid growth and diversification of land plants.
Weeds.
No, weeds.
Killed by weeds.
Because we didn't have gardens back then. But basically, plants started growing massively on land, changed the CO2 dynamics radically, and suddenly you get rapid and severe global cooling. So,
okay, and so I assume creatures pre that who are really into CO2 got starved as well. Would that be right? Plants would have absorbed it and shed out.
Let's say it's all changing so radically. Like you suck up all the CO2.
So your couch grass, your willows. And that Parsons cursed purple flowers, boom, killed everything.
But it does say, you know, clearly climate change is big in here. But asteroids, volcanoes, and other
burps
as well. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So
it's fair to say I've changed the climate in a few rooms independently. So let's make it planetary. No surprise.
So Rod and I, we've been exploring this week, just going, okay, well, what's a good apocalypse?
There's so many. I think about 15.
I like when I was looking through, there was some nice classifications. You just said plausible. That's what, you know, like how likely something is. Like clearly asteroids have happened, volcanoes have happened.
Yes, they are likely
in the future.
Yep.
There's some that we ran across that the plausibility is
You're like, really?
Is low.
Sure thing, champ. Yeah.
I did see this other classification that was nice. This was from Nick Bostrom, who's a philosopher who's done a bunch of work on apocalypse events.
Yeah, he's fun.
And he classified 4 types of apocalypse. He's got the bangs, which...
he's got the bangs.
This is your sudden, fast disaster. Deliberate or accidental, but this is your asteroids, your supervolcanoes,
your mutually assured destructions.
Yeah. Your nuclear. So this a bang. So you could go out in a bang. It's literally over in could be in hours, but it could be day in geological time. It could be a couple of years or something.
Blink of an eye.
Then you got the crunches. This is where
singularity.
The potential of humankind to develop into post-humanity is permanently thwarted. So we can't go any further, but life continues in some form. Human life continues in some form.
What?
Well,
what?
I think what this means, and I've got some examples later.
Goody.
This is like
goody.
Shit's just horrible. We've lost most people. We've lost civilization.
Yeah.
But there's a few people around eking out life, and nothing is getting better. But
I'm thinking of the movie.
Yeah, it's that one. It's that one. It's that one.
That movie is it. If you're not feeling suicidal enough, or at all, watch that movie.
All right. That was the road. We'll come back there. But I think I got a movie for each of these. So I was thinking the bangs is like Infinity War. It's like Thanos snaps his finger and it's just in an instant. And of course, plenty of others like the Mayan time calendar or something.
2012. I love that because I really love one of the reasons I like disaster movies. Fucking colossal tidal waves. I love a colossal tidal wave.
Beautiful.
It's just amazing. You see a cityscape and then there's a wall of water like 8 times high.
Do you know
that movie in the Himalayas?
Well, do you know how big the tsunami was after the asteroid impact that killed the dinosaurs?
Yes, I do.
It lands in Mexico.
Yep.
And the tsunami, I don't have the height in front of me, but I know that it went across nearly all of continental North America. Like this is like we're getting waves.
No. Just go to higher ground. You heard the siren?
I don't know. It might have been getting up to the Rocky Mountains or something like that. Don't quote that one, but it went thousands of
But
kilometers.
to be fair, and this is the bit I didn't think about until I narrowly avoided my first tsunami not going to Bali many years ago. What we forget is, I'd forgotten, they don't have to be fast to fucking kill you.
No, totally.
A huge, slow-moving body of water, if it's a little bit faster than you and only has to be a little bit, you're probably in trouble.
So we've got the bangs and the crunches. So the bang is very fast. The crunch stops humanity from going any further, and we're probably eking out a shitty existence.
Great.
The shrieks.
The shrieks.
Some form of post-humanity is attained, but it's an extremely narrow band of what is possible and desirable.
We all become humadoodles.
Or not many of us. Like
Yes.
a few of us go on to become, this super powerful, super whatever, but there are vastly less of us. I was thinking here,
okay.
The Peripheral was a recent example. Like there's there's only billionaires left.
And
Like you're
Altered Carbon was kind of moving in that direction with the super serious people and then the underclass.
I think
literal
so,
underclass.
and I think we've talked about this before about should people be able to live forever.
Yes.
There's some sort of version of that where some people get to live forever and no one else exists, and so
that doesn't
that's the
sound
shriek.
good.
That's
but
the shriek.
I think living forever could be fun, or at least having a crack.
And look, it is saying that there is our species might continue. The last one is the whimpers. A post-human civilization arises, but evolves in a direction that gradually but irrevocably,
Without being able to be changed.
to either the complete disappearance of things that we value or a state where those things are realized to only a minuscule degree.
Is that called the Great Meh?
No, I think what I would
Actually, it's
call
not even great. It's just the meh.
I would call that the great interesting. Like that's the one where
Slow and boring is interesting.
no, not necessarily boring. This to me is Fallout. So the recent TV show.
Okay.
So this is where civilization as we know it doesn't exist, and
Okay.
humans are doing stuff. But
Different types of humans doing different types of things.
Yeah.
And then working out how we interrelate or don't.
or whatever it is.
That is interesting.
So of them, I mean,
Yeah.
the bangs where everyone dies, that doesn't sound great. The
Quick.
the crunches where shit gets horrible, also not great.
I see no reason why the bangs and the crunches can't go hand in hand.
If we have to have one, I'm leaning towards the whimpers.
Yeah, look, I'm sure I've talked about this in other episodes. It's come up. I have epic dreams in general. I tend to have huge monster dreams all the time.
Like the Mahabharata in your dream. You're like,
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I wake up and I feel like I've seen 3 movies. I'm just like, whoa, that was amazing. And one of the repeating ones or variation on the theme is it's pretty close post-apocalypse.
Okay.
But I find
So
them
as in
fascinating.
like it's 10 years after the event.
Or it might even be just like, it's more like the slow moving one where you're kind of like, shit's starting to collapse now. Okay, let's get things together and sort out what might happen. And I always wake up like energized because it's fascinating. I'm like, okay, so we're going to do this. We tried that. We went over here and we did that.
we got tasks.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, exactly. It's like jobs. It's like playing a game. And I wake up from every one of those and I'm like, a bit scary, but damn, I woke up interested.
So this is the possibilities for everything could end. What do you got? What do you find?
I've got some obvious ones first. So like the virus gig is an obvious one. Some kind of virus bug that spreads faster and weirder than the ones we've already seen.
Yep.
And we handle it even better than we did with the most recent one, aka
Well,
worse.
I mean, going back the Black Death,
Yep.
the plague, bubonic plague killed a third of Europe. Yeah. So shit was not as good back then. And
But also shit didn't spread as easily back then.
that's true.
So
that's true. So we can kill significant numbers.
we'd be much better at it now.
And
a Black Death now would really be impressive.
Yeah. So
And that then you got the enclaves of, like there's a lot of post-apocalypse stories about that. The people who for no overt reason are the survivors. Mm-hmm. For some reason they're immune and there are no other like common characteristics. And then you watch how those societies somehow work themselves out.
Yeah.
So you got very well equipped people, terribly equipped people who love it, like, and then it's like, all right, we got to reimagine.
So
all
that's,
this.
I mean, that's. I mean, obviously coming out of the pandemic, it's the one that we would all think about the most.
Yeah,
it's
front of mind.
And clearly super plausible. Obviously, it'd have to be a pretty precise virus to not only virus or bacteria or something like that, disease,
bug,
but to be spreadable enough. I saw some people saying, okay, what if AIDS was as spreadable as the common cold or something like that? But you know something.
Wait, it's not.
You know, it's that combination of how fast you die from it, how fast you spread, how guaranteed is the death.
Yeah, and the quick dying ones don't spread as well.
Yeah. You've got to spread while you.
Yeah, you got to keep your host alive and suffering for as long as possible. Otherwise, you don't reproduce.
Delicious. Bunch of books and movies on that, like The Stand. Was a super virus.
Yeah.
Station 11, I think, was like a super flu or something like that.
Sounds familiar. Outbreak, obviously, but it wasn't quite an apocalypse.
All right. Well, you've gone virus.
Well, I thought I'm starting more obvious.
All right. Well, I'll go to super volcano because we've done that, and we know clearly it happened in the past, in the not too many millions of years ago. And
yeah, but we're keeping our eyes on Yellowstone.
Well, there's a lot of people, Yellowstone, but there's other potential super volcanoes. I saw something saying Krakatoa may erupt again or something like that.
Oh, yeah, we got through it the first time. That was only
50
years ago or something?
Big volcano, not a super volcano.
Yeah. The caldera at like Yellowstone Park is like 8 million volcanoes woven together. It looks like it's just one giant zit hole ready to go. Fucking relaxing. Because what do you do then? What do you do? They go, okay, we've gotten this, our technology for predicting volcanoes has gotten way better. We can do it 20 minutes ahead of time.
Yeah, no, there's nothing. I think the only thing, depending on the amount of time, and so, the asteroid's the other, comparator, we go, okay, cataclysmic event, but we can probably see an asteroid. I wouldn't be surprised if, in most likely scenarios, a world-ending asteroid has to be pretty big. We'd probably like to see that a couple of years out, maybe a decade out.
Yeah.
Super volcano, you might not get any.
No, there could be one about to burst now.
I mean, you could go to the moon or something like that.
Not quickly. You might get blown there.
The thing that I think about with the super volcano, because that is the underpinning for the disaster in The Road. And The Road is the most depressing post-apocalyptic movie because
it's impressive.
There's no one left except people that eat each other and
and the child lives on. Like, it's one of the first movies, or maybe the only movie I've seen where don't worry, his kid survives. And you're like, was that good though? Am I happy for the kid? The kid could have died so much more quickly and sooner. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say spoiler alert.
There's spoilers in this episode.
Yeah, a little bit.
But that's a classic example of the crunch. Like everything collapses down. And the one I've been thinking about is that's a scenario where the food pyramid eats itself up, and which would probably happen. We rely on photosynthesis for energy to come into our food system. Like that's the thing.
Just true.
That's the thing.
Yep.
And if there's no photosynthesis anymore, then the animals will eat all of the plants until they're gone.
We'll eat all of the animals until they're gone.
We'll eat the animals until they're gone, and then we eat and so it's like apex predators last the longest, but they will be forced to eat themselves at the very end.
Line on line action.
Oh my God. Eat up the food chain. That scares me entirely.
Oh, yeah, it's a horrifying one.
And like we can talk about that in the abstract, but it's literally represented in their pantry. You start with some food, and then you have less food, and then
you got like, hey, let's invite the neighbours over for dinner. No, I don't want that. I don't want a super volcano, and I don't want to. Was that the crunch?
That's a version of the crunch.
That's a crunch.
Yeah, definitely. What else you got?
Well, I got obviously nukes.
Yeah, nukes.
Because it's easy to ignore it because we've been worried about other things for, a little
while.
Since nukes originally, 70s particularly, et cetera, 50s, 60s, 70s. But, the increase in, let's say, strong men taking over countries with, strong arsenals, I don't think it's at all off the table that someone's just going to fuck up.
Not at all.
Someone's just going to do something fucking stupid. Like, some small cock man who wants to prove his power and, reclaim Russia's glory or American great again. And
But we have come perilously close. Like there are stories out there about literally, there was a false alarm in a Soviet system. That was an auto fire Soviet system, and we were preserved by the actions of one hero,
the guy,
one person who said, "No, let's double check.
This seems incorrect." You're like, "Oh, thank God for you, Igor."
One
fucking man who had the nuts.
I think there's another story as well of, I don't know if this was American or Soviet, but a nuclear submarine, and when they don't get their comms check in with naval headquarters every so often.
Assume boom boom.
They have to assume boom boom. And so they have to,
But you need, I think that's an upside that, some people see that it's only one guy as a horrifying thing, but actually they are the ones who are going to say no. It ain't the big boys in the bunkers in Moscow, in Washington, et cetera, because they are remote.
Yeah.
The dudes who are sitting in the submarine going, well, we're underwater, we don't know what's going on, and when we do this, boom. And when we surface, we got Neville's Chute on the beach. Have you seen versions of that?
On the beach? No, I haven't. But this is the one that it's set in Australia.
Because we're the last country that the radioactive cloud hit.
Okay, yeah.
So it was both boom, boom and slow creep. And so there was a TV series, the last one I saw was years ago. Brian Brown was a star, and so that show, and he was youngish, so it was quite a long time ago. But just the government starts to issue these, safe and user-friendly ways for families to slowly suicide.
Oh my God.
And they just literally now and then you see a screen and you watch the radioactive cloud just slowly creeping down. So people, they know they're fucked. Like it is coming. It is going to nuke. Your entire environment's going to be irradiated. There's no question. How do you spend the time?
Oh.
And how do you end the time? Do you wait?
You work on your poems.
The funniest thing in that one is Brian Brown, he ends up, what is he? He gets in like a Ferrari or something, and then he's nicked and he just drives really, really fast. And then I remember a close up on his face and him kind of going, and then he gets airborne and hits a billboard or something and dies. That's how he suicides. But I get it. I mean, like,
Fair enough.
For me, the creepiest part is, when the family of three all calmly lie down on the bed and take the pills together and just hug and they die. And I'm like,
I don't know.
That's sinister.
I ain't a veteran of a post-apocalyptic world, but I feel like you try. You try.
I would think so too. But eventually, to me, that's the creepiest when it's just like, okay, kids, we're just going to take our pills and lie down together. And I'm like, it's different fighting.
All right. Okay, I'll give you another one of the classics.
Yep.
Obviously, it's the bad robot of various sorts.
So many types.
We've got, the bad AI in the sense of it was good intentions but badly programmed.
Yep.
So it turns us all into paper clips or some version of that.
Then your grey goo.
Yeah, grey goo. So, a nanotech scale robot that can replicate and its programming is just to keep replicating.
Yep.
Or potentially you've got the super villain type AI. It doesn't like us anymore, like the Terminator sort of scenario, sees us as a threat.
Yep.
Do you know
the one I was thinking of on that line? What if we get the dumb AI? Like they're just a fucking dickhead. He's just a borfing idiot who's like, because they evolve in some ways intellectually really quickly, knowledge and so forth. Yeah. But in terms of function and thinking about stuff, whatever that constitutes, and pondering consequences.
Are you saying
giant child with huge power?
And we put it in positions of power?
Or it just stumbles into it like kind of
a
blundering dummy, like giving the nuclear codes to a 3-year-old is like, I don't mean to cause harm, but
all right.
That's the eye that really worries me. I think but it'd be funny.
Well, look, that's the one that your ChatGPTs and the Microsofts and the Googles are saying is the big threat. So you got to take that one seriously at the moment.
Or the other evidence we have on that, the hallucinating AI.
Yeah.
So the AI that doesn't mean any harm, but it gets dumb information, bases it on bullshit, and goes, "Oh, I'm about to be destroyed." And you're like, "Dude, no one."
What else you got?
Oh yeah, running out of energy related to AI.
Oh yeah.
Not because we can't generate it, but because we get to a point where if an AI is getting really excited, we know how much energy is sucked out of server farms, et cetera, et cetera. They could accidentally fuck themselves too, because we get to a point where we just can't grab enough energy quickly enough.
So, I mean, one simple version of that is we may remain super constrained by the limits of physics, and so interstellar travel is something that you can only do slowly. To get to the get to the nearest star is going to take 200 or 300 years or something like that, or whatever. Yep. And so we remain locked around this sun. And so you can work an idea that there's a limited amount of energy that you can capture from the sun. You put solar panels all the way around the sun. You capture everything.
That's Dyson spheres.
That's it. Yeah. And so potentially,
we got to stop there.
If that's all the energy I feel like we'd still be all right with that amount of energy.
But then again, I mean, if you told people 150 years ago we're going to have so many cars that would actually potentially impact the planet.
And well, here you go. And so someone decides to make Bitcoin with all of that energy, and there's nothing left over for the rest of us.
So that's also partially that sort of Big Bang thing where you could flip over where suddenly you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, it's not that we don't know how to do it. We just can't do it fast enough, and it gets sucked out of the system.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. That's my own. I was just pondering that on my own little brain.
Oh, that's nice.
I know, right? I know.
I'm going to go for some weird ones now because I like some of these. Well, this one's not super weird, but this one's a super plausible, and it sort of connects with your no energy. There's one version of electricity gone, or because I can't quite see how that would necessarily happen. You could lose a grid, but it doesn't change. But the more likely one is computers are gone. And so a large EMP, electromagnetic pulse, or a solar flare could literally take out all of the computer chips in the world.
Yep. That would have an effect.
That would have an effect. You think, I mean, every power station is down. Every car is gone.
Plane.
Every communication facility, every plane. Suddenly,
Cooking equipment.
We're in a radically different world.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in some senses, that's one of the simplest.
I saw that, like on solar flares. Actually, you might have caught this. The largest one on record, the Carrington event.
Yeah, in 1880 or something.
1859. Yeah. And they're saying like it was enormous, and basically it's ignited telegraph cables and things, and you could see the northern lights as far as Cuba. Yeah,
as far as Cuba, because we just had some big. Whenever you're listening to this, some big.
Southern lights.
Southern lights, but as far as Cuba is close to the equator.
Yeah. So they were saying it went off, but this happened in 1859. Not a lot of chips.
No, not
a lot of people. There's only 3.
Yeah,
but the idea that same sized event, if it could incinerate or ignite telegraph cables, what the hell would it do with the stuff we have now?
And you know, we have
bada boom.
Very little we can do. I mean, well, a to predict it. I don't think these things are very predictable much in advance.
I think it'd be look,
and B. Hardening against it, very small. I know that there are
lead umbrellas.
Well, no, there are some military chips that are hardened, like you can protect them with lead or whatever it is. But that is like 0.00001% of computers.
And you can imagine that. So all our functional day-to-day infrastructure is gone, but it's cool. We can control nukes. And you're like, sweet, well done, guys. Congratulations.
We kept that bit.
We protected what matters. Like, so yeah, that's a real cracker, because if we get another Carrington event with modern tech, my God, amazing. I almost want to see it because I'd be fascinated to see how strong it could be.
Oh, look.
Actually, most of these. I'm curious.
I mean, surely if you are sitting there, you know, no one says I want everyone to suffer through. But anyway, it would be an interesting thing. If you could move your body throughout history at your moment of death and go, okay, I get to choose where it happens. Oh. All right. What else?
Oh, yeah, obviously the bees or pollinators, but particularly bees. Was it Varroa virus?
It's a mite.
Mite, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Although, just point of order, yes, it's a virus on the mite. The mite brings the virus.
We're both right.
Both right. That's finally.
As often happens. Yeah. That one's a cracker. So it wasn't that long ago where there was truly sort of big damage language around the idea that we're going to lose, you know, vast tens of percentage of our actual plant pollinators. And people going, hey, dude, this matters. That's not off the table. Yeah. Yeah. And then the next step is, of course, the Black Mirror little tiny artificial pollinators that turn into monsters.
You know the parallel here, and it's the genetic diversity that we rely on for food is shockingly narrow. I mean, one version of this is like bananas. They're, 90%, don't quote the number, of the bananas we eat are one type of banana. And if there is a disease that banana is falls prey to, we don't have bananas.
Chow bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like the global food system relies on, it's wheat, potatoes, rice,
soybeans,
corn,
maybe?
soy, and maybe a few, but the staples. Yeah. Like a huge amount of what we eat are those things. And within that, there's small genetic diversity. It doesn't take very much to suddenly lose enormous percentages of the world food crop.
Just think island and potato blight, or in the Pacific when they had troubles with taro. I think it might have been a parasite, but it was fucking taro up. And of course, this is a lot more monocultural crop-wise than many other places at the same time, but you're fucking screwed.
I think the interesting thing as well is you lose 20% of the global food system, then a lot of other things are happening at that point.
Yeah, people don't go to work and they don't cook our dinner and deliver it to us via the Hungry Panda because they're worried about eating themselves.
What else we got?
Generically, climate, but that's a bit boring and
they're generic.
There's so many. Yeah, there's so many climate. Like we cook ourselves.
Well, I'll give you a climate one that's potential. The geoengineering backfire. So the theory, we go for some sort of geoengineering solution to solve climate change. We try to block 1% of the sun. We accidentally block 40% of the sun. And
how much did you block again? Most. I thought I pushed 10%, but I pushed 110. We're actually giving the sun back energy.
And this is the one that always still gets me is the billionaire goes, okay, I want to be the guy that solves the climate change.
Yeah.
I can just do this. Or I'm turning into Russell Crowe as a billionaire, and I can put a couple $1 billion into, putting some cloud seeding or something like that.
Sulfur it is.
And they don't check the sums, and
No, why would you?
and suddenly some dickhead billionaire has blocked the sun, and we are all dead.
I've geoengineered to get rid of climate change. The problem, you're welcome. What? They're dead.
Now you don't care about it, do you?
No whinges left. That's good. One of my faves that came up when I was rummaging around, the second Y2K bug,
Oh yeah,
the 20381. You haven't heard 2038?
Is that when Linux goes?
Yeah, Unix.
Unix.
They call it the Unix epoch.
Oh yeah.
And so that one, I mean, I know you know, but others. So a lot of systems use 32-bit integers
Yeah.
to store Unix time, which is basically it counts the number of seconds from January the 1st, 1970.
Is that when we run out of seconds?
Yeah, we run out in 2028. January 10, 2038 at 14:07 UTC, we run out of room in that 32-bit integer system. So that, again, that could fuck the clocks of computers that are based on Unix. To be fair, we had there's 14 years programmers. Change it.
Okay.
I was actually
like that.
bizarrely working in a Y2K related industry briefly in the build up a couple of years before 2000, and they're all about it. They're all about Y2K. And I thought, okay, this sounds real. I don't know what it is, but okay, fine. I was like the graduate entry. They don't know why they hired me, and it all seemed very busy.
Because and this is the thing, people use Y2K as an example. Idiots use as an example to say we spent too much time focusing on this and it was all or nothing.
I love
burger.
that argument.
And
Nothing happened. You were wrong. Oh, for fuck's sake.
So someone fixes a problem properly,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, it wasn't a problem in the first place, was it? Oh, you
Fuck, I used to have that. I worked in a bar as a bouncer with this manager who'd he'd walk in, and I remember one day I was running the shift. There's about 8 of us bouncing, big crowd, really quiet. The bouncer just standing around. He goes, "Why are you wasting all this money on bouncers?"
Yeah,
It's like, you fucking idiot. You fucking.
Look, in his defense,
No.
that's where you end up with the American military, which is a giant military industrial complex. And you go, this is how we don't have wars, by having the giantest military in the world.
That is exactly what my job led to. That is exactly how it happened. That guy ended up running. But yes, it is that kind of thinking, though. It's just like, well, but there's no problems. Why would you have people to stop the problems?
So here you go. I'll give you another version, which leverages on this.
Yeah.
I saw some people talking about a potential apocalypse, which is a slavery military industrial complex.
Hell yeah.
Where you get like a government.
With robots, sure.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be. But a government goes
My movie has
total
robots.
police state,
Yep.
and they're a successful police state, and they start taking over the world, and they don't care for humanity, and they can successfully bring in more slave workers to go and fight and expand the territory.
Yeah.
It's like what if Hitler won everything and just decided to kill nearly everyone?
Fuck, I love alternative history stories, though. I like the idea. Like the beauty of these apocalypse or post-apocalypses is you get to speculate. Like what? I mean, it's like why I like playing those big real-time strategy games. You kind of, what if I tweak that parameter and see what happens?
All right,
So interesting.
give me more. What else you got?
Well, one of the ones I really liked. Someone turns off the simulation.
Yes.
So, and I hadn't thought of that till I read it in passing. It's like, oh yeah, good call. Someone goes, oh, it is a simulation, and off you pop.
Where I read it was in I think it was it's in a paper I'll talk about in a second, or it might have been in the Nick Bostrom paper, and it was just just classifying a bunch of different risks, blah blah blah, and one of them like simulation turn off, and I'm like, oh,
Excuse me?
oh. So that there are a lot of people out there that believe potentially we live in a simulation that is run in a computer in another part of the multiverse.
And by a lot of people, you mean
some
40% of humanity?
No,
give or
no,
take.
not
Give
really,
or take.
Not really. I think it's a pretty dumb idea, actually.
Oh, that means it's real.
I think in their defense, they're like mathematically it has to be, in the sense that if there are simulations, then the odds that you are living in the first universe versus the many trillions of simulations are very low. So you live in a simulation. I'm like, oh.
Well, look, and look, maybe we do, but it's quite realistic. I mean, you seem real.
I feel like that's a pretty lame apocalypse scenario, because there's no post-apocalypse.
No, it's just, why have a simulation? What for? Fun.
Well, for science.
Curse you, God.
No, this is higher level beings that are doing science on what it's sort of a sociology thing. This is like my sociology undergrad project. Run a simulated universe for a few years and see what happens.
Did you do well on that?
Yeah. Well, I built a whole simulation of a universe.
Is it this one?
And all of the people in it developed souls. And
Are you an avatar of that human?
so here's the question. I mean, do you develop a soul if you're in a simulated universe, or?
Yes, I do.
And does the soul escape the simulated universe, or is God sort of living in a higher level in the simulated universe, and God gets turned off too?
That's a version of when I was speculating. I was thinking, if we go from the simulation, like one of the ones I can imagine is where God goes, "All right, you got me, I'm real," and you guys, anyway, like close to the simulation, it's just like, yeah, I exist, and man, you got a lot of shit wrong. Oh, I'm just going to start again.
I like it. But it doesn't give me anything. It's like, what do you do about it? Like, how do you write a letter to the people up there and say, hey, please don't turn us off? I feel like if you are a high enough being to have science that can develop a simulation, you also have ethics. And you're
I hope so.
And you're also like, oh no, probably I have developed this thing and I feel kind of bad that I did it, but I've got to keep running this thing.
Well, and the question then is, what's the cost to them if they keep us running?
And that's the thing about the simulation argument. I mean,
keep it running.
No, but that says there is zero cost to them. Clearly, there is an energy usage for the computation.
We're back to server farms and the energy,
but the amount of computation you need to run an entire universe simulation would be on the order of close to the amount of energy in a universe.
No, not if you use advanced quantum multinomial
energy.
No idea.
Energy is always the thing. This is why I don't believe the simulation thing. I just don't see that there is enough energy to sustain all of this calculation, plus over 1 trillion different instances.
Well, given what we understand of computational power, the idea of it is fucking phenomenal if we could.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
There is one. Okay, I got one that I like. Physics change.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Planck's constant ain't anymore.
Well, yeah. So we know that there are a number of people during the Manhattan Project who had significant worries that, okay, this is not a physics change, but this is what if the bomb goes off, the first one, the little boy, and it just sets all of the oxygen in the world on fire and we all die. And
goodbye atmosphere.
Plausible, fascinating, didn't happen, but enough people worrying about it. But then there is the other, the step beyond that is the Large Hadron Collider. We had a bunch of people saying, hey, what if this creates a tiny black hole and sucks us all in?
We'd rather it didn't.
So that's not a physics change either, but that's a catastrophic intervention of experimental physics into our local world.
Yeah.
But I saw some. What was there one? An idea of collapsing the gap between particles at the local level, and I saw something describing this as an expanding light speed bubble throughout the galaxy that could suck in enormous volume. And I was like, damn, there are some cool ideas that if something changes about physics, and I don't know why something would, but it could have intensely catastrophic and intensely rapid effects.
This actually, there was a great fucking sleeper movie, it might have been 80s, New Zealand sci-fi movie, The Quiet Earth.
Oh yeah.
And basically the premise was this dude wakes up and he's in normal New Zealand, but since there's no people around, he's like, what the fuck's going on? And he starts running around looking for people. It turns out, luckily, he's a physicist and they were working on some experiment. It's not quite clear what it was, but it turns out it changed fundamental elements of the universe, like the charge of an electron or something like this.
Yep.
And it turns out this guy, just at the point, he was worried about the experiment going wrong, so he took too many pills to kill himself, and he died at the moment the effect happened. And it turns out the only people who lived through the effect are the people who were dying in the moment. Oh. So he found 2 other people. After a while, he went insane. He was just doing whatever he wants. He's driving around. All the resources exist, plants and animals.
Yeah, of course.
Finds a woman and another dude. And at first it goes fine. You're like, there's going to be problems.
And then it's a love triangle.
Yeah, and then there's a fight, blah, blah, blah. And then he's doing calculations going, shit, it's going to happen again. It's going to get worse. And the big boy who he finds is in love with the woman as well. They start fighting. The big boy's beating him to death.
Oh.
And he smacks him in the head and kills him just as the next effects happen.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So he wakes up in a post-apocalyptic world where he survived too. And the odds on there being any more people now,
zero.
Fucking zero. Like maybe there's one on the other side of the planet.
There was that guy that lived through both Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs.
Serious?
No, there was a guy like literally. I don't know what. I can't remember exactly the story, but he was either from Nagasaki and he was going to Hiroshima for work and turned up on the outskirts, saw the bomb and went, "Oh,
seriously again?"
And yeah, so survived them both. What else you got?
was one I found there's interesting ideas of success that leads to failure.
Oh, okay.
So the two that I saw, thanks to a new scientist, one was the idea that, and people have promoted this or proposed this, we become, super interconnected with electronic intervention to our brains, etc.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Which is great, but we end up actually abolishing the notion of the individual. We become one homogenous lump of being.
Does that mean like we've evolved to sort of a post-human as we understand
or
it now?
plugged in to become one. So not necessarily evolved, but suddenly, we start plugging in. We're able to interact with each other at the speed of, at least sound, if not, or light.
Yeah.
But then suddenly we become one entity. We don't have individuality anymore. Is that an apocalypse? Is that the end of us? It's certainly a dramatic change in us.
That's a good one.
And that's a success thing that may go, if not sideways, let's say in unexpected directions.
Yep.
And another one was the end of disease. We're like, great, imagine we actually end diseases.
Okay.
But then the flow-on effects, if we end them too quickly, suddenly no diseases are killing people. So there's still accidents, etc. What are the ramifications of that? I mean, it's back to, ultra populations, the old never die.
Yeah.
We keep reproducing.
So
we run out of resources.
So in a sense, it's an apocalypse bred by a high population, by a dystopia sort of thing.
But kicked off by what would be unambiguously a success.
Well, I'll go another version of that. There have been right-wing people worrying about this kind of thing for ages. And I think it came a little around the IVF, when IVF was first developed.
Yeah.
Technological interventions in human gestation.
Yeah.
Key thing here. And so one version is that via having more babies born through cesarean or born through other technologies, we're
Through the butt?
No. I don't... But potentially we might be in a place where we wouldn't be able to have babies in a post-apocalyptic world. So I think this is a combined version. We evolved to have giant heads like yours, and then we wouldn't be able to survive, if we don't have technology around us. So
I don't know how my mother survived this head, but somehow she did.
Well,
yeah. Look, also, I'm hoping if it's going to happen, I want it to be interesting. And so I was thinking like extra dimensional shit, aliens land and make it weird,
Aliens landing, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but also if we kind of, we talk about infinite universes or, there's extra dimensions within string theory and unfolding. If we can actually play in those realms or at least see them, etc., I would be 100% full bore behind any research into that, but that could also have cataclysmic or unexpected side effects.
So you're saying we get a researcher who says I can go through the multiverse.
Yeah.
And 8 days later, we're like, oh, okay, we shouldn't have done that.
That was a terrible idea.
That was a terrible idea.
Or the whole, okay, if there are 5-dimensional entities, are we but shadows to them? And is that a good idea? Like if we were exposed to greater multi-dimensional, more dimensional stuff, does that fuck with the notion of existence or does it collapse us?
Wow.
These are just speculations.
Okay.
These are speculations.
Well, I got one in the opposite direction. I did see this was they call it in the technical term dysgenic pressures. Dysgenic. So
doesn't sound pleasant.
Opposite of eugenic. So eugenic would be, social intervention had to have the best genes going on. Not good. Good.
Yeah.
Dysgenic is not necessarily interventions, but pressures that make the worst genes continue. So this is
idiocracy.
So there are people that worry about this enough to make a movie, but people that think about this and go, oh, but what if the pressures are to have lots of dopey babies? What happens then?
Well, it's not that. It's like who has more babies? It doesn't tend to be us wealthy wankers.
Oh my God! This is bullshit.
That's the problem. How many babies do I have?
It's not because of your brain size, though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. It is because
of my brain size. It's like I would breed, but look how intelligent I am.
I think it's plausible to go, okay, we could get to a way of civilization working that we're suddenly choosing more and more we're choosing dumber and dumber people. In fact there is some evidence that the two key pressures that we've seen in human evolution over the last 5,000 years are in lower population centers. So either hunter-gatherer populations or people now that live in smaller communities.
Yep.
Potentially you're dealing with more chaotic environments and the pressures there might be about intelligence. But in the other side, in urban environments, the pressures are much more about surviving disease. because you've got a lot of people
Right,
around
concentration,
you.
yeah, yeah.
And so, yes, and clearly in urban environments there's success factors about being smart or being strong or whatever, but disease is the biggest one. So basically swap it around. You get a kid from Papua New Guinea or a kid from the middle of Beijing or New York, and the selection pressures are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And potentially the urban world is evolving to cope with disease, and the world where we came from was about intelligence. So maybe there's a theory that we're choosing better at surviving in giant packs, but not necessarily as smart. I don't know if that's true.
I see the sense of that, because I often thought about this the more I stepped through universities and deciding to become a clever clogs knowledge economy guy. I was thinking, if the shit went down, I got no skills. I got nothing. Like, what can you do? Well, I can reason why the arguments between these two warring tribes, who one has corn and one has weapons, I can reason why they may have different points of view.
Yeah.
But can I fix that car? No.
Yeah.
So like, yay, egghead,
It's possible.
fucking useless. Useless.
I guess you would say that the pressures might have been on us for the last 2 million years to get smarter, but that pressure might not be in the same direction.
We may have outsmarted ourselves, so to speak.
There was a couple of other ones, a little bit like the virus. I did think it's worth, because they did make The Last of Us all about this. This is
Fungus.
a mushroom or a fungus that fucks with what we do. And I did like the idea. So a virus might just keep us normal, but sick and dying, and we pass that on. But the idea of a pathogen, it could be a fungus or a virus or a bacteria that. What if it changed human instincts and human behaviors, human desire? You know, so instead of cooperating and talking with each other, we become vicious, eat each other sort of animals, which I find
weirdly overly cooperative, but cooperative in ways that we wouldn't consider to be excellent.
Whatever, in different sorts of directions.
So it changes our fundamental behavior or drives. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an ignorant ding dong, but that sounds scary.
There's a couple of others that I thought. Day of the Triffids is. There's a bright light from aliens or plants.
Or meteors. The original one, people like there was meteor showers and people went, we must look at it.
And everyone goes blind due to an effect. Now, clearly, people looked at the first nuclear explosions, so you're going to look.
Of course we are.
And, it's not impossible. You take out a key human sense and a lot of things en masse, all of a sudden, a lot of things fall over. Even if 1% of the population goes blind in a night, it would be
that's difficult,
but it's not the same sort of thing. So I thought that's a fun one, and I think another one. It's like Children of Men.
Oh yeah,
and so this is where we don't have children anymore, and you could imagine what does it take to not have children? Is it some sort of virus or something that we don't even detect, but it ruins fertility for men or women, or something.
Then what it does to the structure of society when breeding becomes this outrageous and unusual property or ability. I don't know what you call it. Function. Yeah, that's shocking because of the social shifting. Then we're back to what is it, Handmaid's Tale and all that shit. Like, we could do some terrible things.
I'm going to end on the last one though.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it.
Because, right after this, we're going to have a talk about which one's your favourite, which one's the most likely, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the one that reading around, and I was like, oh, this one is the most likely, I reckon.
Really
It's the one that they ain't going to make movies about.
Do you know why it's most likely? Because it's happening now.
It's happening now.
It's happening right now.
And they ain't going to make movies about it because even in the paper, like the paper that this comes from, it's by Hin Yan Lu, Christian Loauta, and Matthews Maas. It's called The Boring Apocalypse. And I thought, we
can't even get that right. We're going to wipe ourselves out. Let's make it the shittest version possible.
I've got to say, for an academic paper with the word boring literally in the title, cool paper. Like, cool, like you did well. Like
Yeah, you really did.
So what is The Boring Apocalypse?
I'm going to guess it's boring.
Well, most movies focus on your single origin events, and there's a lot of disaster planning, thinking in academic government circles about these big things. Either a big nuclear event or a big foreign government, or
disease
even for
issue,
asteroids. Absolutely, we think about those things a lot.
Yeah,
but we don't combine them. We don't think about how they might all join together, and maybe. And there was a little bit of this just a few years ago, you get a pandemic and then you get some bushfires, and then you get an earthquake, and then you get something else. And the thing that happens is your societal, governmental capability to adapt and take care of it actually falls apart.
Or rather is proven to be inadequate in the first place.
And is inadequate, yeah. And so the one in literature that this comes from, and I mentioned this before, the peripheral. So this was one I described as a shriek where some form of post-humanity is attained, but it's an extremely narrow thing. But basically, he calls this a jackpot where just a rolling cascade of super disasters happen and we don't have the capability to deal with any one of them. So, it could be in one country it's giant fires, in another country it's giant floods, then you get an earthquake, then you get some wars because once these things are happening, you're fighting over resources more. And gradually you just get fewer and fewer people. You actually get things really falling apart. And it doesn't make a movie. And the thing that got me, I was reading about this, we've developed, this is from Ethan Mollick on Twitter, who's commenting on the paper, but I think similar things in the paper. We've developed successful hardened systems to lower the risk of apocalypse based on catastrophic failures like nuclear weapons or plant accidents. But those aren't perfect, but we kind of know how to think, okay, what if there's a catastrophic earthquake, catastrophic tsunami, or any of these kind of things?
And it's one-off, right? Like what if something goes boom?
That's it.
One thing.
But the more that you harden against one thing means that you can't adapt to deal with the thing next door or the other thing over here.
What you mean is if you harden against one thing, you soften against others.
Become water.
Bend like a leaf in the wind.
I think I think this is the thing that it doesn't make a disaster movie, but the idea of the boring apocalypse, that we have to actually recognize that we might just have a whole syndemic of shit waving over us.
Just leak into oblivion.
All right, I want to know what's your favorite? What's the one that you want to take?
I just want it to be interesting. I just want, and particularly, to be honest, it's not the apocalypse itself. I want the post-apocalypse to be interesting.
Okay, so you don't want to bang. So
no, I want the one where we all start to reimagine ourselves. What was that? The peripheral?
The whimpers.
The whimpers.
The shriek is a post-human sort of thing.
No. The whimpers. Yeah, the fallout kind of situation where shit goes wrong, but then there are multiple ways to imagine how you might do it. So it's a reconfiguring. For me, it's a new broom.
Yeah.
The broom could be horrifying and lead to spikes and guns.
Brooms are horrifying.
Yeah,
with the little bits on the ground, we're terrible.
Yeah.
But some stuff gets missed.
It would be interesting. And also the thing I love most about that kind of apocalypse or post-apocalypse.
And what causes that then? Well, give me a...
so many options. Well, I think it is the boring. There's just a sequence of events or a radiating coincidence of events that things just start to fall over and we have to redefine ourselves more locally and work out what we do.
You want the chips one.
Yeah, maybe.
And the thinking machines. And then we end up in June. But it's
ooh, I like that.
But that's a thing that doesn't kill people instantly.
No.
But it ruins our ability to operate in the global sense. We're operating much more local.
And it really changes the way we ponder ourselves and where we fit. Oh. And I quite like that because I think it's exciting. Also, I mean, maybe because I'm just feeling a bit tired at the end of semester and all that when we're recording, but it means all that shit disappears. Like all your day-to-day stuff, it's like, well, that's gone now because it doesn't matter. It's like, that sounds relaxing.
So, wholesome verdict, choosing the apocalypse scenario here based on when you have to get your marking in.
Yeah, I'm a bit tired. I wouldn't mind. Could we like nuke a bunch of shit so I don't have to worry?
It's a TISM song. The chances of an asteroid coming in the next 10,000 years, I'm banking on it becoming before my end-of-year exam.
It's exactly that. I'm like, I've got all these deadlines and what if something went really wrong and I had to reconfigure it, based on day-to-day survival stuff? That sounds more relaxing right now. What about yours?
Look, no, I've got to be close to that. I don't want any scenario where a narrow slice of us are becoming perfect and ruling the universe. I don't want that. If we have to have this thing,
what if it's you?
I want no, even me. I don't want to be that guy. But even
it's nice.
If we have to have this thing, of course I don't want everyone to die in a second.
No.
And of course I don't want everyone, the few people who don't die in a second to live horrible lives until, they die 50 years later. And I don't want billionaires to become super. So it's got to be that version that I don't want people to die. But if we're picking an apocalypse, I want, we get flowers of creativity.
Yeah, great reimagining.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do your marking either. It's bottom. Wholesome verdict. We just don't want to do our fucking marking.
Oh my God. Anything else you've been thinking about?
Yeah. Look, weirdly, and I didn't realize until I wrote them down, 2 things, and both of them money related.
What? Okay.
One is, can animals be taught to use money or the equivalent thereof?
There's experiments that they tried, didn't
There
they?
really are.
Oh my God.
I know the answer. And the thing that I like more about it is some of the ways they very quickly chose to use it are quite unexpected.
Oh, animals, you're great. I love you. You're the best. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I started looking into it and I was just rummaging around, as we do for this show and otherwise. And as just suddenly I went, oh my God, they chose
really
that version.
cool.
Holy shit.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's one.
I've been thinking about the politics of first names.
Ooh.
And what I mean, given names. And mainly because, a friend of ours has mentioned that he grew up in Iran and there was a shift in babies' names before and after the revolution.
No more Adolfs.
Well, no doubt. But I did read, I was reading just the other day that in the Soviet Union, there are a bunch of kids named October after the revolution. That's
of course.
But there was some named after the 5-year plan. Politica. Like I'm just like, you named your kid 5-year plan?
Mine's called second report on the annual crop rotation in the Varishti province.
So I was wondering, there must be some trends in going, okay, not just, we like this name less or more, but actually there's some driving forces why we're choosing 5-year plan or Oliver as our names.
Oh, Christ. I want to be called 5-year plan. Because you imagine, I'm pretending I'm 20 again. And it's like, and what's your name? It's like 5-year plan. And she'd lean in and go, that's weird. Like, yes, I am. You're going to keep talking to me, aren't you?
You don't know. Maybe she's called 5-year plan too, but the
then
lady,
you got something else in common. But the feminine 5-year-et plan.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
No, they take it's the patronyms or something. I don't know. What else you got?
The money one. And I think about this a lot too, given my day job and everything else. And we have all these great intentions and we want to change behaviors and make people better. But in the end, I want to know, I said it was money related. Should we just stop fucking around? Is money just the best motivator? Ultimately, we want to change behaviors and stuff. Is it just about money? And there are many studies that sort of ponder this from different angles. And I'm like, I'd like an excuse to read more and talk about it.
No. I do an exercise in one of my classes.
Is it star jumps?
No. It's a simple storytelling exercise.
Yeah.
It's where I ask for a volunteer and I say, volunteer comes up. I say, bring up that glass up there. Fill it with water and say, you carry it to wherever, put it down there. And if you get there without spilling a drop, I'll give you something. And I've played with this over a while. When I first did the exercise, I thought, I'll make it bad. If I'll put a curse on here.
If you spill it, I'll stab you in the face.
No, like you failed your PhD. And then I realized, hang on, this is as close as you can get to putting a magic spell on someone. So I
thought, they're going to go, you can't do that.
Well, yes. And so it was either hostile or didn't work or both.
Okay, yeah.
So then I thought, okay, what's a nice simple bit of value? I wanted to make it real, a chocolate bar. I thought, it costs $1 or whatever, and you go, okay, this is something.
$1. You're adorable.
But
19. 3 Musketeers bar, which we can't get anymore, $19.
Do they put DDT in it or something?
Of course they
do.
do.
It's full asbestos.
Keep
the
you safe.
asbestos chocolate bar.
Got to keep you safe.
Asbestos bar.
Only the wrapper.
But then I thought, okay, chocolate bar. But then what if someone's like, I'm dealing with some,
I'm vegan
or whatever, and it's like that is not neutral. And then I thought, well, the simplest one is money is a neutral value. That the only people that don't like it, full hippies.
Yeah.
And even then, money is what we have decided to be that neutral value.
Yeah.
And so is it a motivator? I don't think, whether it is or not, it is as neutral as you can get.
In theory. So, and like part of the reason that drew me to that as a question is, things like, I haven't read the details yet because got to decide whether I'll do it, but things like weight loss and sustained weight loss. Fuck it, we'll pay you. Yeah. Here's some motivators and here's some stuff about your childhood and here's some little gamified apps, etc. It's like, tell you what, you lose this much, we'll pay you this much. You keep it off for 6 months, we'll give you this much. And there's a part of me wants that to be true because it's simple, and part of me would be horrified if it's true because Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Yeah. All right, I'll give you a money one that I've been thinking about because what does it mean to be the dominant currency? Like
Speaking as a dominant currency myself,
I get it.
it's a lot of pressure.
But we know for at least the last, since World War II,
decades,
the US dollar has been the world's dominant currency. Some people say it may be replaced, and there's two other potential threats: the Chinese yuan and the euro potentially becoming the dominant. But we've had other dominant currencies in the past. So the British pound was a dominant currency.
Tulip bulbs,
and the tulip bulbs, and I don't know the Roman gold coin. But what does that actually? What does it actually mean? Yeah. Why do you fight to become the dominant currency?
Yeah, pros and cons, right?
And why is that? Still such a key bit, a hidden bit of US foreign policy is to maintain the dollar as the prime currency in the world. What does that mean?
Is it the prime and like the pride and small cock issue?
I don't think it's pride. I think it's actually power.
Functional.
It's actually functional power.
Right.
And it's not clear what it's somehow like the debts all come back to us or something like that.
And weirdly it still works. Like I was in Europe last year, got in a cab, got our card out to pay, and they went, no, we can't do it. And I was like, fuck, I don't have any local currency. And I went like, pat my pockets. He said, it's €12. And I said, I got 20 US. And he said, that would be fine. He didn't even flinch. And I thought, fucking Paris. And of all places who are not into that, they were like, yep, no problem. So,
and that's because I think this is something that manifests down literally at the local, like people choosing it and going, okay, I'll take that, all the way up to the mega governments. And they're like, this means something. What does it mean?
It is interesting. Money, eh?
Money. Anyway, if you have apocalypses that you want, like if you're planning one,
let us know.
Put it in the comments. Tell someone. Tell
us at cheers at wholesomeshow.com.
And tell someone else too who can stop you. But
we could stop you.
If you've got other apocalypses or any other concept that you're like, fuck, I want some
apocalypse.
I want some academics who are taking the time off work to drill into, then you call us. We're like the academics to do that for you. See you later.